Okay, so sound seems to be working. Native, as in native title. Native comes from SCI, nasi, which means no, no, or no understanding. Now, no, nare and navi are expansions on no, na, nare, and na. So all the vowels next to n are a negative state. Ni, nay, null. No si is the root of native and nativus and nat, and it means no sea. And the Council of Nicaea means no sea. The word original basically it says primitive, first in order, bearing its own authority and not derived from authority from an outside source as original jurisdiction. But legally speaking, as applied to documents, the original is the first copy. So you drop the contract and then you make copies of that and they become the originals, and then that one goes to the one party, this one goes to another party, and the other goes to the witness. Maxim, as in the maxim of the court. Maxim, Middle English, French, maxime, medieval, Latin, propositio, maxim, large or most important proposition. It's an offer, a suggestion. So the maxims of the court are suggestions, reject them, just like the 12 presumptions of the court as well. So you've got maxims is a proposition, it's an offer. Rule comes from regular, which means a straight stick. You will respect my authority. That's what they're doing. And regulation, so the root of the English word rule comes from regular, and regulation, regulation, tion, is an action from memory. Yeah, suffix ton. Yeah, it's an action. So regular and tion, regulation, is a stick action. So it's by force. Justice, it says here comes from justus, but if you buy a proper Latin dictionary unabridged, it's all roots and suffixes, not prefixes, roots and suffixes. It's all roots and suffixes. So justice, jus comes from juris, comes from jus, comes from eos, which means to bind, and tice means the origin. So a justice of the court means the binding origin. So they create the debt speak, right? And they force it into your ments. Next one is Middle English. Judge. Okay, so the heading there, but the definitions on the next page. I printed this nice and big, so I don't need glasses. So judge in Latin means Judas. I'm not making this up. Yeah, I'll turn the light on. Apologise. Probably got worse for a few people. All right. So judge, Middle English, comes from judge, Old French, judex, Judas, right there. Can't see it. Right on the end. It's opposite side, Judas. That one there, Judas. That's a homophone. I learnt that the other day. So magistrate comes from the Latin magistratus, administrator, from magister, which means master. So when you go into court and you speak to the magistrate, you're speaking to your master. Right? If you type in Confucia in a Latin English translator, as in the Asian Confucia, into a Latin English translator, in English you'll get master. Because I've said this before, if I confuse you, I become the master. Right? They think they're better than us. They poisoned us with vaccines. Virus means poison. They're giving you an antigen as a virus. They're giving you 71 antigens to stop that antigen. They changed the meaning of the word pandemic. They changed the meaning of the word virus in America. So they could put in gene therapy, and pandemic now doesn't mean all when it's idiot speak. Pan means all, and demos means people. It doesn't. It means fucking the slave race from the word demotic. So charge. So we've covered magistrate, and in Latin magister, and it comes from magus, magic. Mage comes from Egypt and Ethiopia. Charge. Charge means to load. From the Latin caricare, carcare, to load. From the Latin carus, a wheeled vehicle. It's a serious wheeled vehicle. Charge means a wheeled vehicle. Right, then criminal comes from crimen, which means charge again. So a criminal charge is a charge, which is a wheeled vehicle. Vehicle means to carry. You're carrying the name, which is an entry, which comes from nomen, which is an entry in a debt ledger. Right? That's what the court is. Their file on you is a debt ledger. There's a guy called Gene Keating, and he's discharged the debt with a 1099 OID in America, and he keeps discharging the debt, and he reckons he's not on their system anymore. They've taken him off his system. And he reckons you can murder someone, technically, you can murder someone, and using this system, they can't try you. See, the prosecutor brings the charge in court, and they have to have a bid bond. He who brings the claim must bring remedy, and they're not. We covered criminal, which is crimen, which means charge. Now version, in Latin, from venter, verter, which means to turn. Right, so their version, they're turning it. Because why are they speaking? They can't make a claim. The fucking police can't make a claim. Because you were aborted, you were abandoned, you were birthed, you're a child, you're the product of a person. It's all shipping, it's maritime. Even the magistrate is an admiral. I've got it down here further. A magistrate is an admiral, and an officer in the King's Navy. So they occupy multiple roles. That's why one name can have lots of meanings. So that when they say version, it means they're changing the truth. They call it a fact. Now, fact comes from facere, which means to make, and also identitas, meaning face or made face, to make, to do, meaning mask, meaning a persona, meaning a character in a play. Because the police are acting in the capacity, they're actors. The magistrate is a creature of statute. Creature. He's telling you. So law is not lex, which is a Roman word for, I can't use the word rule now, it means stick. Code. But anyway, it comes from lag. Anyway, it's Old Germanic. Now, magistrate is an admiral in the King's Navy. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that it's all military, right? And I'll get to that in a sec. So, sheriff is the moral high voice of the king. The chief executive magistrate of any state or territory in Black's law is defined as a king. Constable, con is the antithesis of a thing, state, or condition. So, con of a thing. So, constable, stable is flat. Constable, you're on the water, right? That's why specifically the constable will ask you, do you understand? Un is no, der is ter, and stand is you're standing. So no earth standing as in joinder is jointer, right? D is interchangeable with T, as in der is ter. So your roads are now lanes, your cars are now is and are is traffic and vehicles. Ground is now traffic islands. You don't go to traffic island, you don't go to land, you don't go to earth, you go to ground. Customs comes under lex loci, which is rank and position. Police, police force, no state may maintain a force. The police have been told they are a paramilitary organisation in Goulburn. The police have been told that they are a paramilitary organisation in Goulburn. They stopped being service because the state became the debtor, became the federal. So when Abraham Lincoln was writing the Pope Pius, he wrote the President of the United States of America. And then when he said so much debt and so many dead, so they borrowed off the banks and the French, and then the Vatican authorises all the loans through Admiralty Foursquared, which they created because it's a Roman court, and then he reclassified the United States of America as the Federatum United States of America. Federatum means bankrupt. It means to supply soldiers and gold to Rome's interest only. So that's why America's going in, has invaded 222 countries to destabilize a natural organic system and install a demotic system with birth certificates and everything else. So a section of their constitution, which they're ignoring, section 114 states, no states may not raise forces, taxation of property or Commonwealth or state, of Commonwealth or state. Yeah, states may not raise forces, taxation of property of Commonwealth or state. A state shall not, without the consent or the Parliament of the Commonwealth, raise or maintain a military force, naval or military force, or impose any tax on property of any kind belonging to the Commonwealth, nor shall the Commonwealth impose any tax on property of any kind belonging to the state. So it says here that no state, without consent of the Parliament, may raise or maintain a naval or military force. So when was there a referendum? Because we are the Parliament, we are the people. We give authority to the elected to work for us. Why would we want a military force within the state? A force, American Allied Forces, Australian Defence Force, a force is an army. Why would we want an army within the state of New South Wales? I'm just asking the question. Prison warden, right? And I was told by the prison warden in Long Bay Jail, I'll do a clip on my incarceration. I'll do a clip on my attempted murder and the cover-up by Tracy Ford, Inspector Ford, whatever she calls herself. And that's why they watch my channel. That's why they've got to come down to me. Right? When you make a warning, they say it's a threat. Right? And when the police say they're going to, if they're going to say they're going to shoot you, that's a threat. If they say if you come at me with a knife, I'm going to shoot you, that's a warning. So when I make a warning, it's a threat because that's what they want. That's their agenda, right? Anyway, I'll almost finish this. So how many have I done? I've done judge, I've done police. Okay, so we're up to warden. Now, they use the word belligerent. That means two nations at war under international law definitions. They use the word combative, which means they're at war. The word ambulance means no war chariot. Lancer. Lancer is a tank in the military, or it's a one that carries men, like an APC. BUL is BAL, ambulance. No war lance. They fly a flag, which means they're a man of war because they're armed. If they're not armed, they're just a ship, right? So they're at war, right? The Kiwis. I mean, think of all the big Kiwi blokes, and the Kiwi cops do it without weapons, right? They do it without weapons. In Australia, you need weapons. They're shooting people, right? I watch in Asia, fucking dude's got a knife as big as himself. You know, Asians are only 5.5 feet tall, and he's got a knife that's 3 feet tall like this, and they've got two shields, and they're all trained in martial arts over there, and that's a couple of months swinging a stick, and they've got a big 2-meter bamboo cane, and they just walk up and hit him right there. You hit someone there, there's like a nerve, and you're pulling it, it'll knock you out. They just whack, hit him, he's down. Right? Get 6 of them in there, have a bit of fun, you know. The guy's got a knife, don't kill him. And this is the system we got going on. Anyway, so they're engaged in mind control. It's the name. It's in the name government. Govern means to control, and ment is the mind. Right? They're inducing Stockholm syndrome, which is illegal and removes permission and consent. They're putting fluoride in the water. Just Google sodium fluoride. Click on images. Click on one of the pictures, and you zoom in and says target organs. It says target organs: kidneys, liver, central nervous system, brain, intestinal tract, and teeth. And they go, yeah, full of shit, Joe. Well, it causes fluorosis. Fluoride causes fluorosis. Okay, then you got the next one. Military. I'll prove that we're under military law. This is from the Lieber Code, Article 13, printed in Orders 100, I think it was 1763, by Mr. Lieber for Abraham Lincoln. Now, this is the footprint for the Hague Treaties. Anyone says, it's American, it's why the Hague Code exists. Right? So military jurisdiction is of two kinds. First, that which is conferred and defined by statute. Second, that which is derived from the common law of war. Harm, injury, or loss, you've gone to war with someone, right? Fuck crime. Crime doesn't exist. Crime's charged. That's commercial. We need to get rid of crime, bring back torts, right? We need fucking common law courts based on tort law, and none of this fucking smashing doors in and fucking around and traumatizing people and old people. They fucking traumatized my mum when they smashed the fucking front door in. They fucking terrorized her. They were screaming and yelling, reorg, reorg, and the fucking big fella's 6'2", and he's got a gun in his hand and he's fucking shaking. Don't know what they said, you know. This is a free man. He's probably got AK-47s. If you're going to go up against the force in the military, we're taught you have 3 times the number. That's the rules for success, right? Anyway, I'll get the footage from the cops and I'll fucking put it on the channel as well. I'll get the footage of them bashing me in Windsor. I'll get the footage of them trying to bash me in Penrith. And anyway, so I'll put it up. They are operating under Lex Mercatoria. Federal means bankruptcy to the Pope, right? Pope means father, and the Bible says, "Call no man father." Papa, Poppy, Pope, all in French, Latin, Italian, Spanish, they all mean father. Right? The priest has you calling him father, but the Bible says don't call him father. So you've got this ancient scripture, and Rome has made up its own fucking version. They've got you babbling. This is Babylon right now. Right? I've got some wanker called Oslaw, and he's just fucking vomiting up shit. And every time he puts something up, I said, well, this is this, this is this, this is why this is why we do this. And then he'd come up with something else. And then he started attacking my grammar because I used Y-O-U-R when I should be using Y-O-U, R-E. Yeah. And I go, mate, this is fucking YouTube, not a legal document. If you got a problem with it, fuck off. And then he says, oh, you're not studying 5 languages. There's 7 there, just with 3 words, right? I'm not trying to learn them to be able to speak the language. I'm trying to learn them to be able to read what's going on. He goes, oh, you wouldn't be speaking like, you wouldn't be typing like that if you were studying languages. I go, hang on, they stopped teaching grammar in 1966. And he said, no, they don't. No, they didn't. I said, yes, they fucking did. They don't teach grammar. They teach you English. They don't teach you the structure and the names and the geometry and the mathematics behind the layout of English and how you structure it. And so he said, oh, you're full of shit. I just Googled it and it said University of Melbourne, why linguists are lost. That's the title. Why linguists in Australia are lost. They don't know grammar. They're just vomiting up shit. And this lawyer's just fucking kept going off topic. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. That's all they do. So the way the police get away with the deprivation of liberty is by incorporating your name as a public identity, right? It's in the name. Deprivation. Deprivatization. They got you to sign up as a fucking public entity, as an employee of the state, which makes you an artificial person under their control, as opposed to a natural person. So a sovereign is a natural person. It's called a sole corporation or corporation sole. And then you have an artificial person. Look it up, Black's Law, Bayes Law. Any of those will do. We're still going with sound? Yep, still got sound. Okay, so they incorporated your name, right? And so deprivation is deprivatization, right? It's all hidden in the lex, right? And when you learn the lex, you can become rex, right? That means king, right? And basically, this is why you've got corporations, private, unincorporated limited liability companies. They just murdered like 650 people with 2 Boeings that crashed. They knew they had problems in the manufacturing. They're cutting corners, whereas the old planes that were built so tough and they had so much flex and so much lever, they're making the planes with that are so highly spec'd that they could flex from there to there sort of thing and have so much load, whereas the new planes can only flex from there to there. Well, the new planes can actually flex like a motherfucker, but they're putting so much load on such a thin structure that this is not me saying it. I was watching a clip today about an ex naval pilot of 30 years writing to Boeing for 2 years straight saying your planes are going to start dropping out of the skies. They're failing. And so they've spec'd them so high. It's like making a carbon fibre push bike and making the frame so light and thin that it just fucking, you hit a bump and they fracture. And so that's why a corporation can kill 650 people. And Virgin Australia goes out and buys 20 of their fucking planes. Why aren't they buying Airbus? Why aren't they buying Airbus if Boeing just drop out of the sky? And these are brand new planes. And the pilot said, what are they going to be doing in 5 years' time? So if you get on a plane, I'd be asking, who made the plane, right? The private can kill the public. It's always been this way. Privateers can kill the public. It's a Roman Curia, Justinian's Corpus Juris system, right? Now I'm just going to read out some case law from America. People go, well, that's America. Massachusetts is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Massachusetts is in the Commonwealth because the word Commonwealth means public. Go and look it up in a law dictionary. Don't use an Australian one because it won't tell you shit, right? American dictionaries, Bovier's, Black's Law, Andrew's dictionary. I think it's Andrew's. Samuel Johnson's dictionary. Andrew's is 1776. Samuel Johnson is 1895. Bovier's is 1856, I think, 51, 56. And all the old Black's Law, 4th edition, because it's written for Uniform Commercial Code and earlier. All the new Black's Laws, they just start removing stuff. And you got to ask yourself, why would you need to change the dictionary? Why would you need to change the dictionary? So I'll read this out. So a US citizen, upon leaving the District of Columbia, becomes involved in international commerce as a resident, does not have common law rights to travel, does not have the common law rights to travel of a citizen of one of the several states. That's Hendrick versus Maryland. But then you go to City of Chicago v. Cullen. So that was 1914. This is 1906. A license is a privilege granted by the state and cannot possibly exist with reference to something which is a right. That means a license can't be issued to something that's a right. If they're removing your right to travel, whether it's in a car or in a fucking truck, doesn't matter. If you live in it, if you travel around in a truck, doesn't matter. If they call it a vehicle, they can't remove your right to travel. They can't do it, right? And so I'll read it again. A license is a privilege granted by a state and cannot possibly exist with reference to something which is a right. To ride and drive over the streets. Drive's incorrect word because drive is commerce. If we allow the City of Chicago to require the license of horseless carriages, how long will the city? How long will it be? How long be the City of Chicago? I can't read. How long be the City of Chicago would want to require a license to ride a horse or to walk upon the streets? That's the way it's worded. City of Chicago v. Cullen, that's 1906. So how long would it be before the City of Chicago would require someone to have a license to ride a horse or to walk upon the streets? Well, you know, now they've banned horses from being on the fucking streets. First in time, first in law. There was a barrister or a lawyer. I think they're all solicitors now. I don't think the lawyers exist. But he used to ride on the freeway, and the police arrested him. And they said, you can't ride on a freeway. And so he took him to court, and he said bikes and horses and carriages were on the roads first, and so first in time, first in law, and you can't remove a right. Took him to court, and he won. This is in Australia. Don't ask me what the case was. This was going back in the 80s, so I'm showing my age now. But that's what's literally going on. It's basically crazy. So I'd like to get back to we're under military law, and it's all lex mercatoria. So Mary, Maria, is the old way of writing Mary in English today. Mar in Latin means sea, and Ia means masculine. So that translates into semen. So Jesus was a product, or Yeshua in the Bible, because it's all maritime. Because you got given a name, you're birthed, and you got given a name. So the ship lands in the water off the dockyards, and you put a name on it, and then you christen it. Right? That's where the whole Catholic thing that didn't start till the 3rd century. And so Mary means masculine, and Mary birthed Yeshua. It's all anyway. I don't like using the word Jesus, Yeshua, and so because she birthed him, she abandoned him to the state, and that's where they get so Maria is seaman on a ship, and gave birth to the ship, and abandoned him, which is a birth, and he was a child, which means the thing that is abandoned, and it means abortion, and it's a person, and a person is a human, is a monster, which is incapable of inheriting property, and has no shape or form of that of mankind, which means it can't be me, it has to be the placenta. And we all know placenta is place and center, feed to us. It's a fetus. Place, center, feed to us, fetus. And what they do is by reclassifying a living being as a placenta or a fetus, they can just go in and abort it whenever they want. So we know that Mary means semen. We know that Mary gave birth to a child, which is abandoned property. It's an abortion. It has no shape, no characteristics of man. And this is how they do it, by using versions of language. Well, not language. We used to have speech. We had speech, and then they gave us language. I've been approached by 3 people on this channel. You need to take a Hebrew name and learn the living language. So anyway, and it happened within a week of me putting up the clip about debt speak. So it's a bit weird. Now, mu, mutilate, mutant, mucus, are all negative states. Mu means death, murder. Murder is murder. Right? Now this really messed with my head, because I was thinking it can't be murder, because der is ter is jointer. So mother in Sanskrit is matar, Old Persian is matar, Old German is mutter, mutter, English is mother, as we know. Gaelic is mater, Greek is maitera, and Latin is mater. So I'm thinking, we use mu for mother because the mother is the one that abandoned, the mother is the one that gave birth, the mother had the child, it's a dead state. It's the heathen. And it's like, what do you call your mother? All these words. I'm not going. Oh, the linguist said to me on the Zoom meeting, "Oh, don't get down that road. It'll just mess with your head." And it's not messing with my head. I'm learning a code here. It's a language. It's a code. It's a cipher. It's probably the best way. So so mother is a negative state. And so I said, what about the word mum? When I said mu, mucus, mutant, mutilate, murder. And then muder is muter, which is German, muter. Harm, to mark the energy of man. Ter is earth. T is the mark, E is the energy, and R is man. So harm the mark in the energy of man. Minis means to harass. Minister means harass the mark in the energy of man. And what's the mark? It's the nomen. It's the entry in the debt ledger. It's pretty quick. This shouldn't be that long. 29 minutes. It was only 3 pages. So there it is there. I'll just hold these up. These are all cut. So I just type in, say, charge or magistrate, meaning, and then you get 1 and 2 definitions, and you just scroll down a bit further and you see a line and you see translate. and it drops down again, and then goes straight down to origins on the left-hand side. I go straight down the left origin and go to the furthest on the left, and it says Latin. That's the actual meaning of the word, right? So I'll just hold these up. Judge 1, 2, 3. So you got them. Damn this bloody computer. So some of this is from William Whitaker's words. Others is straight out of Google and going to the translation in Latin. Now to top it off, the next clip, I'm just going to delete all the numbers and the email addresses. But this is enduring powers of attorney that Deborah is going around, and she apparently, I can't confirm this, but I've been told that she's living up in Kiwana Waters, up in Queensland. I haven't named her legal name, so it could be anyone. And I'm going to do a clip on this document, and I can't hold it up, see how good it will look on the thing, but I'll publish this document. I'll remove the contact details and full legal names. But apparently she's still doing it in Queensland, getting enduring powers of attorney over people. Why would I don't use the word drug, but what? And she's harming people, so she's a dog. So it's okay to dog a dog. That's the prison speak. But basically, she's selling something called jellyfish, right? It's a bad strain, just fucking numbs you, and she takes advantage of people. Right now, she's saying she's making cannabis oil for people, and she's a healer, and she's Deborah out of the Bible. Deborah out of the Bible didn't weigh 120 kilos, and chain smoker, and anyway, looks like a cane toad, and is a nasty piece of work, and has people running around, does nothing for them, and gets them to landscape their front and backyard, and puts up shade cloths for them, and runs down to the hardware, and she's nothing but a user. She gives you a tiny bit of information, and and doesn't want the blackfellas knowing all the lecks about the language, and that's what they do. They attack you. They belittle you. They drug you, and that's the only way they can elevate themselves. It's fucking pathetic. So I'm going to put this document up in the next clip, and I'll just delete all the bits and pieces so everyone can have a good read. And I'm not kidding you, she drew this up in an hour and a half. I was impressed. So I got told that she's been barred from occupying, I think the guy was trying to say she's barred from occupying public positions or positions of trust. So I don't know if she's an ex-lawyer or an ex-solicitor, but whoever drew this document up in an hour and a half, they're no slouch, right? I'm not one to belittle someone's work. This is really well written. And she's familiar with the government documents. And that's pretty much it. So your courts employ people to attack you. They employ people to murder you. I turned up, I met a friend, went to Jellybean Pool with a friend. We spent about 2 hours there, and then we went up on the plateau, went to the lookout. We only had 10 minutes, we started to leave, and we only it's 15-minute drive back, and we were a third of the way there, and it takes 10 minutes to get to the gate. And as we're going out, 3 Middle Eastern men are coming in, and they were very interested in looking at me. Right? They weren't looking at the blonde chick next to me. They were looking straight at me. I was like watching as I went past. And I just went, pick up a bit of speed, really. I'll put a bit of distance just in case they turn around. And they were driving a Land Cruiser. Doesn't sound like much, I'm being paranoid. So then I went to Yarramundi. I cycled out to Yarramundi, near Windsor on the Nepean River there. Put stuff in the car and then went, same bird, friend of mine, and went in the river, and it was 35 degrees. We just floating down the river, having a good time. And then we got out, got dressed, and then these three Middle Eastern guys turned up again. No lights, no fishing gear. It's pitch black. Nothing. They didn't look like they're from the area. There's no Middle Eastern families out that way, and if there are, they fuck all. And they usually sound like Aussie. I know a couple of Lebs, and they fucking sound, yeah, Joe, you going, bro? They fit right in. These guys didn't fit in. So then I'm up at my property, and up past Newcastle, and I got told by one of the locals, who's a rouseabout jackaroo and a fencer, and he's sort of semi-retired, lives in a caravan out. And to get to these properties, you got to be local just to find them. You won't find them by street signs or maps or anything. You just won't do it. And so they turn up to the boat ramp now as a reference point, because they're all blocks and they're unfenced and it's all bush. And anyway, so I was on the bush block, and these two Middle Eastern men turned up, big blokes. And then the bushy goes, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "Oh, we're just doing fishing." He goes, "No, you're not." He goes, "You're not dressed for it. You don't look like you're ready for it. You got no fishing gear. You got no seats. You got no air guard, any of that shit." He goes, "What are you doing here?" And they just smiled at him. He goes, "You're outnumbered, brother. Everyone around here knows how to look after themselves. So get in your car and fuck off." Words to that effect. So they looked him up and down, and he just went, whistled out, and all you heard was, "Yep, what's wrong, Steve?" And they got in their car and they fucked off. So I'm coming back from the same bush block on another instance. My sister drove me up there after the whole license debacle, and what happened was this car is sitting there on the left lane, and they just went, whoa, really violent, and then swerved back, and my sister's like, ah. So it startled my sister, and I just wound the window down, and my sister's going, "Don't do anything." And the guy's just sitting there like this, looking straight ahead. Now, if you accidentally swerved, you'd be like, "Oh, sorry," And it's completely staged. It's street theatre. So the guy's sitting there like this, looking straight ahead, and the wife's sitting there just fucking like this, looking straight ahead. And they're staged by the police, right? Because they're trying to bait a reaction, right? Trying to bait a reaction. And then what happened was, I got in front, and like, it was so violent, swerve, like if the glass is only that far away and the pillar's that far away. She would have had to known about it to not bang her head off the side of the pillar on the glass. We get about a K down the road, just on the left hand side, there's an area commander's car sitting on the side of the road, an inspector's car, forward drive, all that kind of shit, right? And so what they do is they go after you, so you have to get protection off them. They used to rob. They used to, in America, they used to the federales would come in, and they would steal. They would steal horses, steal everything, and then you'd have to fucking sign up, or pay tax, or the carpetbaggers would come in and take your property because the federales took over. They literally tortured people. They stole their lands. They fucking did everything. Right? They call it war reparations. Right? It's an occupation. They just come in, they murder you, and if you don't convert to their religion, it's just fucking bizarre. And anyway, so that's the lex. That's the language. I'll do this one next. And the words do break down. They break down into Latin. 99% of them break down to Latin. The other ones that don't break down into Greek. Yeah, so it's just crazy. You've got it's legal to kill someone, but it's against the law to murder someone. Right. So you've got the state is the sovereign citizen. They operate under a crown, and they're all citizens. Right. Like I said it to the cops in that clip out at on the way to Windsor, and they're using Justinian's corpus juris, which is it's an artificial state, and like you've got corporations like Army Corps, as in ARNs, ECNs, your particular corps you're in, corporations can go around murdering persons. But yeah, privateers, deprivation, deprivatization is how they get you. And it's fucking crazy. If we speak, it's like we're wording ourselves into a corner. You know, you're backing yourself into a corner verbally with speech. It's not speech, it's language. They went down and confounded our speech and they gave us language. So we're wording ourselves into the corner. Anyway, I go off topic too much, but I did that without any interruption pretty much. Spoke about that. That's coming up next. And yeah, don't sign enduring powers of attorney over to this woman. Right? If you sign enduring powers over attorney to someone, so you don't end up in you don't need to do it. I'll put up documents that you can. If someone gets sent to into a mental home, I'll contact me, and we're forming groups, Zoom meetings, all that kind of stuff, and we're just generating paperwork so you can use against mental homes, police, to combat their fraudulent activity. You put them in default, debt validation, breach of international law, breach of science. There's no pathology in psychiatry. There's no disease that they can find pathologically, whether it's blood work, whether it's bone marrow, whether it's x-ray, whether it's CAT scan. There's no fucking disease. There's nothing there. And they're just poisoning people. And then most people who've got mental illness are in fucking hospitals because of prescription drugs and illegal drugs, which are pharmakeia. And so they're poisoning the mind, they're poisoning the food. The food it's all artificial now. Yeah, so people say, well, you just said there's no mental disease, but now you're saying there is. No, there's not. There's fucking people who are chemically affected. Like Tom Cruise said, the guy might be a Scientologist, but everything he said was correct. I mean, it's like fucking a priest gives you family advice, but you're taking family advice from an organisation that it's rooted in pedophilia. So, you know, like fucking, it's an oxymoron, is what I'm trying to say. Scientology is a bag of shit, but it doesn't mean the documentary they did is. The documentary there's no one in the documentary by Scientology is Scientologists. They're all medical professionals saying that there's no science. It's like if you disagree with a fucking heart surgeon, oh, you got cancer, to shut you up. If you disagree with the state, oh, you're mentally ill. The doctor says you're mentally ill. I've never disagreed with the fucking, or I've disagreed with the doctor before, and they've never said, you know, you got cancer, because I disagree with them medically about something. If I disagree with a psychiatrist about something, you're mentally ill. If I disagree with the state, you're mentally ill. So when I went to the, when I was in Long Bay, she finally admitted, oh, you don't have to be mentally ill to be in here. You can be a danger to society. A society is a fucking corporation, is a guild. It's a corporation. That's it. They're drugging people and murdering people based on you're a danger to. I'm not a danger to your society. You're a danger to my fucking life. Right? Why is there a caduceus on the AMA? Because it's the Australian Moneylenders Association's mind control. Drug you, brainwash you. That's what it's about. And I've got fucking, you know, if someone makes a comment on the channel, I'll make a counterclaim. You know, if I can make a claim, I'll put all the shit there. There it is. And then when that doesn't work, they go, oh, your grammar's all fucked up. You're a fucking idiot. You're a moron. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck, man. When I was 5 years old, my mum used to teach me, sticks and stones will break your bones and words will never fucking harm you. That shit feeds me. You poke me and say that's wrong, I'm going to look it up and go, you're right, I was wrong. And then I'm going to use it against you. You're teaching me. Because you never taught me in school. You didn't teach me shit. Look up homophones. There's about 7 of the bastards. Herdographs and fucking, there's about 7 of them anyway. All right. They don't teach us any of this shit. And it's just funny when he said that, you know, oh yeah, no, they teach grammar. And I just Googled it, and the University of Melbourne saying, why are linguists lost? Why are Australian linguists lost? Anyway, Talking too much. 46 minutes, 44 minutes.